Oz live here, reporting from Baltimore, testing. I'm in my usual spot out at George Washington Park. Let's see if you can see him back there. I don't see him yet, but in any event, it's been a while since we've been on, and I wanted to pop in. There's been a lot going on, actually, not only in Baltimore but in America and the world, and so I thought it may be a good idea to come on and kind of discuss things a little bit. It's a beautiful day, actually. It's about maybe 70 degrees out, and it's just a perfect afternoon. And there's just been a lot going on in America. Mass shooting is going on everywhere, mass shootings. And one in particular has been pretty dramatic. And I'm talking about Buffalo here. That's been pretty shocking. But what has been even more shocking, though, is the reaction of the country to this mass shooting. And the Buffalo shooting we're talking about. We're talking about Buffalo. And right after Buffalo, of course, it was the kids in Texas, Uvalde, Texas, that got gunned down. Quite a few of them. But what was particularly interesting is how the black mass shooting was kind of played itself out in the mass media. It was basically ignored. Biden waited about 3 days before he said anything, but when you compare that to the Texas shooting, I mean, he came out immediately and started talking about what a tragedy it was. But that is just, that's kind of, I don't know, that's the trick bag that America finds itself in. I don't want this channel to turn into some talking about race all the time, but it's such a vital issue in the American sense that it's hard not to talk about it. The media certainly does not talk about it in any real way. They basically try to make it go away as quickly as possible. But there's been it's just been crazy. It's been crazy. I don't know. I mean, I live in Baltimore right now, and I didn't know a lot about Baltimore before I moved here because there's not a lot of information available about Baltimore. Baltimore, if you live in, say, Denver, Colorado, which is where I lived for a long time, you wouldn't even know that Baltimore and Maryland exist because it's never mentioned, never talked about. You just never hear about it. You never see it on television, or it's just not. It almost like it doesn't exist. But when I got here, it was a pleasant surprise because the city is beautiful. I travel all over Baltimore, and they have some of the most gorgeous neighborhoods out there. I mean, I've lived in a lot of cities. I've lived in Boston. I've lived in Denver. I've lived in Chicago, just outside Chicago. I've lived just Detroit. I was there for a minute, for a long time actually, close to 10 years at least. But in any event, but Baltimore it's just, there is a lot of blacks in Baltimore. It's like I guess it's like a, how can I describe it? It's got a lot of blacks, very successful blacks, as well as a population that is not successful, and they are no matter what community you go into, it doesn't matter where you go, there's going to be a significant amount of African Americans, blacks, living from the highest, most snazziest neighborhood to the most grimy ones. There's going to be a lot of blacks. That's just how it is here. And you'd go to a neighborhood, you'd think that, this is probably a white neighborhood. And it'll be mostly blacks. And the houses are perfectly kept. Everything is beautiful. But the media have the people basically scared of their shadows. It's just amazing how effective they've been in terrorizing the local population. I mean, I talk to particularly old, middle-aged black women and old black women. They basically stay in their house and hide under the bed because the media has them thinking they're going to be shot if they go outside. Now, there's quite a few shootings in Baltimore. I don't watch the news, so I can't give you any numbers or anything like that, but I walk around all over the place in my area and downtown and so forth and so on, and it seems to be fine. I mean, it's just like any other city. You have to be careful. You can't be cavalier about being aware of your surroundings. You definitely can't do that. But it's not the the hellhole that they present. But they have control over the population's mind because they're television people. They live in the television. They always watch the news, and so they're talking to a captured audience all the time. And I'm talking about the African American population, particularly middle-aged women and older women, and they are just so, the media has them terrified about everything, and so they kind of stay home and stay in the house and so forth and so on, and so it's just amazing how effective that's been. And while the rest of the population, the white population as an example, they're outside having fun, living their best life. There's always a function to go to. There's always stuff happening and so forth and so on. And while the African American population is, hiding in their houses because they think they're about to be shot. It's like that you drive around town and everybody's going about their business like it's normal and blah, 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 blah. I'm totally rambling here, but I guess this is one of those kind of shoots. It's going to be kind of rambly, basically. I'm walking down to my Ethiopian restaurant place. I'll probably stop there tonight, but it's just unfortunate how the media present one picture and one picture only, and that is that the black population is basically criminal. They don't present anything that moves away from that kind of reality. And what's so funny about it, what's so incredible is the black criminal population, almost anywhere in America, is a tiny percentage of the black population. Most black people are going to work, they're living their lives, they're doing things and so forth and so on, but they have this complete myopic focus on black criminality. And so if that's all you see all the time, on and on and on, that's what you're going to start to think, and that's kind of where it's at, unfortunately. And I mean, I've been in many of these fancy bars around town. I would just stop in my neighborhood or whatever, and when I walk in, it's like they don't know what to do. They're like they have no clue what to do, and it's always bizarre. I just try to stay away from them and just not go to bars. other than this Ethiopian one I go to a lot. And because that's comfortable, nobody bothers me. They don't freak out necessarily when I show up. And but in any event, the and all the politicians, all the politicians are under attack, are in court. They're trying to get them. They basically run them out of office through the courts. Is kind of how they do it here. I think the last two or three mayors of Baltimore who have been women, they've been ran out of office, and one even went to jail on some of the silliest stuff. Some book deal that she made with like John Hopkins, or one of the big players in town. Somehow she got charged with corruption, and she basically was the only one. It's like, it's so insane because it seems like blacks are convicted of corruption like all by themselves. Nobody else goes to jail. Nobody else gets punished. It seems like the only people that get punished is the target, which is typically the African American politician. I mean, that kind of stuff has been happening for a very, very long time, going back to when blacks came into office in the 70s and the 80s. They run them out of office through the courts. That's kind of how it works. And like right now, there's this prosecutor. I think she's a state prosecutor, one of the big leading prosecutors. She's an African American woman, and she's very independent, very well spoken, and totally together. They're going after this woman for pulling money out of her 401k. Somehow they were able to make a case out of that, and they're trying to drag her out of office with this charge. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, it's not even funny. It's Baltimore is volatile in that regard, and these two populations have to live together, and it's just really, really fascinating watching this stuff happen in front of you. It's just amazing. And but in any event, they don't like her because she said that she's not going to punish petty criminals. She's not going to punish the population for petty stuff. And they're using that as they're saying because of that, the crime rate is going up and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's beyond silly. It's totally beyond silly. Baltimore is the 13th largest, I think, the 13th largest city in America, and its police budget is number 8. So resources cannot be the problem. I mean, why these people can't solve crime is beyond me. I mean, you must want it there if it stays there, because you have the resources. But in any event, so there's this volatile kind of situation that you kind of live with almost every day in Baltimore, and it's fascinating watching this stuff happen in front of you. So, but Baltimore has got, the media presents it as a shithole city, and it's far from a shithole city. And everybody who comes here will fall in love with the place from the highest to the lowest. And because it's a beautiful city, there's parks everywhere. Every community is basically in a park or across from a park and stuff like that. And but in any event, I am at my Ethiopian restaurant here at Dukem, and I'm about to walk in. It's kind of crazy busy there in here. There's a lot of people standing around, and I'm gonna see if I can get something to drink. All right, I'm out. Oh, how do I turn this off? Oh, here.